Hey, well done. Do you have a story time on like how people manage after a sesh and having to look after kids? Because it must be hard. So I used to sesh when my kids went to their dad's house. So it would be on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, whatever. They would come back to me on a Sunday. So obviously, because I'd been out all weekend or I'd been drinking in the house all weekend or whatever I've been doing, it's usually drinking at home on my own, to be honest. Like that's what I used to do more than anything in secret. Um, and I'd have nothing prepared on the Sunday. So like, I'd have to. There would be this mad panic on Sunday where I'd have to get all the uniforms done, all the packed lunches, blah blah blah, and all I'd want to do is sleep. And I would get to a point where I was so bad that I'd be like texting their dads and saying, oh, can they come back at like 4 in the afternoon instead of coming back at like 12? So I had time to like bring myself round and stuff like that, and I was just not fit. I was just not fit, and it's horrible because you feel like you know they obviously are your children, and you want to be there for them, and you want to do be this fun mum and stuff, and you just hate yourself. You wake up with so much guilt, and you just hate yourself, and you feel like they'd be better off living with their fathers. They think they'd be better off without you. You don't want to be here anymore. All these sorts of thoughts go through your head, and it is really difficult. But like I said, since I've been clean and sober, like life is just so much easier, and I know I'm being the best mom I could possibly be to my children, and that is like that's the best thing about recovery for me. There is no guilt anymore. I wake up on a Saturday, take them swimming, take them to the park. I do all the things that I should have been doing in the first place. But guys, it's not a choice. Like it is an addiction. Just because it's binge drinking or whatever, it doesn't make it any different. I was in a cycle, and I was stuck, and I couldn't get myself out of that cycle. Um, every time the weekend came around, I had this fear of being on my own, or this fear of, I don't even know what the fear was, but I just kept relapsing every weekend. And it wasn't even just on a weekend. Like, it was on a Tuesday night when the kids went to their dad's. I had to always have the Wednesday off work. Um, and it just gradually got worse and worse. And it took me longer and longer to recover. There were times when I'd have to ring in sick because I wouldn't be able to go into work on the Monday, and I'd sleep all day on the Monday where they'd be in school. Um, and and everything that I did on the weekend had a really massive knock-on effect. Like the housework didn't get done, like my personal hygiene took a hit, like everything, every aspect of my life was just a mess. And you can't function when you're living like that. You think you're going to be okay and you can function, and in the beginning you can, but over time it'll get gradually worse and worse and worse, and then you're not coping anymore. And it's too late. You don't know who to ask for help. If you go to the doctors, will they get social services involved, blah blah blah. And it's really difficult because whilst you're not doing it in front of the kids, it is having an impact on the kids because it's affecting your ability to be a good parent. So I've dealt with the guilt, I've dealt with the shame. um and the best way to deal with that is to stay sober and clean and know that you're giving the kids the best possible upbringing they can have. And I can't risk drinking, because drinking always leads to the other, and it always sends me on a spiral. So yeah, it is incredibly difficult. And if there's anybody in this position, you will be able to relate to what I've just said. Everything takes a hit. Your finances take a hit, your personal hygiene, everything. And it is really tough, but life gets so much better when you're sober and clean. It really does. And being a mum is easy. Being a mum is so much easier. You think being a mum's hard just because you're not with it, because you're not fit at the moment or whatever. But when you are out of your addiction, being a mum is a joy. Like, it's an absolute joy. It's a privilege, and I'm just so grateful that I've been able to get sober again. Peace and love.